Hello, I'm TheZOMBIEJ, and today we're talking about, well, I already posted a video today. This time we're going to talk about the Nuva Cube. The Nuva Cube and the Mask of Time. Simply because, well, the two were used at the end of the Bionicle saga. Yeah, if you watched the episode 3, very short episode of the Bionicle animations, shout out to Templar for those, you will know that the Nuva Cube was used by the Bionicle, along with the respective Toa Nuva's Nuva symbols, in which once all of these symbols were on the cube and attached to the cube, it becomes a sphere, basically a ball. And I don't know, that you can pitch at someone and they'll hit it with a baseball and you'll hit a home run. I don't know. People have made 3D printed versions of this Nuva Cube, and well, that's pretty cool. But if you get the Nuva symbols stuck into the Nuva Cube, will they be there permanently and it's permanently a sphere? I don't know. Point is, the Nuva Cube, before the symbols could be permanently attached and almost there, Tahu Nuva summoned the Mask of Time in its rusted orange glory, apparently. Yeah, that was a thing. And, you know, the Toa Nuva all had their weapons crossed, you know. They were all, yeah. So Tahu Nuva used the Mask of Time to, you know, slow down time and give the Toa Nuva enough time to do the thing they actually needed to do, which was basically, you know, stop the Bionicle. And so the Bionicle actually had to face their own powers. So what happened was basically they overloaded their own powers, the Bionicle, and so things like Tanakao was electrocuted by his own electricity, and yeah, Levi-Cal, well, I think he was torn apart. The Bionicle deaths were brutal in that final episode, which was pretty cool to watch. But the logistics behind being the Toa Nuva being the ones to use the Mask of Time, specifically Tahu, because, yeah, using the Mask of Time to defeat the Bionicle, it was really the only thing they could do, that Tahu could pretty much do. You know, the Mask of Time used to basically slow down the time and give the Toa Nuva enough time to, I guess, get their symbols back and overload the basically input their powers, inject their powers, and overload the power that the Bionicle were trying to steal from the Toa, and basically ended up frying the Bionicle. But the thing about the Nuva Cube is, why was its existence this important? Yeah, you had the Nuva symbols, which were reused for G2 specifically in 2016, and even Ikimu and Makuta and even Umarak had their own Nuva symbols, which was kind of strange. I mean, wow. Talk about recycling. Recycling old ideas from the original IP to be used in the new IP, the new version of that IP, sorry. It just seemed like a bit of a waste. And, well, I'm glad we got the Nuva symbols back to represent a bit of nostalgia. And, to be completely honest, I don't see the Nuva Cube as what could have been the ultimate defeat of the Toa Nuva. the Nuva Cube seemed like it wouldn't have been powerful enough to defeat the Borak, or no, to defeat the Toa Nuva and unleash the Borak swarms again, because Kadak and Gadak were both imprisoned forever until, apparently in the 2006 storyline, the Toa Nuva had to go back to Matanui and unleash the Borak hordes, because that was supposed to happen. Yeah, there's flaws in the story, and I'm sure you've seen them all. But the Nuva Cube was one of those weird story ideas that, well, at the time we didn't think much of, because, you know, we were just kind of absorbing this and enjoying the entertainment that is the Bionicle story. And the Nuva Cube was just a weird MacGuffin that was seemed kind of pointless in regard when the Toa Nuva, especially Tahu, was able to use the Mask of Time. The Mask of Time itself is a bit of a fallacy in and of itself. It's kind of something that you don't expect it to be able to help to defeat the Borak Kal, and yet it did. So it only kind of made things kind of strange when it came to that animation, given how short the episode was. The Nuva Cube and the Nuva symbols just felt like something that was an afterthought. The first half of 2003 in general was just kind of a bit of a filler arc. But if it wasn't for that filler arc, we wouldn't have gotten the better half of 2003 with the Rakshi, with Makuta, Pterodax obviously, with Takanuva, and yeah, with Mask of Light, Bionicle the game. Despite how many people shat all over Bionicle the game, the GBA version is the worst, obviously. I still enjoy the PS2 version, which I will play here soon, obviously. But I don't know. It seems like the Nuva Cube was just a bit of an idea that was kind of half-assed in a way. I mean, it's like there's this. Okay, so there was this cube, the Nuva symbols from the villages. It's like, where did these Nuva symbols come from? How did they get there? They weren't there before in the Templar animations, in Minogue, in the books. All of a sudden they appear in the end of 2002 and the beginning of 2003, and all of a sudden this Nuva Cube appears and the Borak Kal Elite Task Force of Borak. They're back there. That shelf. Their goal is to steal these Nuva symbols and reawaken the Borak swarms by freeing the Barak. So you could tell I'm a bit saucy about this, or salty about this, this idea in Bionicle, because the Nuva Cube was an idea that just, it had its own flaws to it, being that you can easily stop it by using the Mask of Time. You can... Tahu was able to easily stop the Borak Kal, and the rest of the Toa Nuva were able to do their job too. With the Mask of Time, and overloading the Borak Kal's power, sending them into oblivion, and the Barak were forever sealed in their prison until 2006? Yeah, what the flying fuck is this? This was another story flaw that felt kind of half-assed and a bit rushed, if you will. I don't really get this part of the story. It's one that kind of raises some questions as well as some eyebrows. And it's a huge red flag, the Nuva symbol and the Nuva Cuban symbols, as well as the Borak Kal and the Mask of Time, the use of the Mask of Time. You know, the Mask of Time was originally crafted out of the combination of the great discs that Vakama was able to, you know, craft it, and eventually ended up in the hands of Pterodax, and then shot out of Pterodax's hand, and it landed in the Sea of Prodermis, where it rusted orange from this nice little gold. Okay, this gold is kind of shit, but you know. Yeah. And eventually, I think it was in Time Trap, the book that Vakama went back to get the Mask of Time. I don't know. The idea behind the Mask of Time is one of the important masks in Bionicle. The legendary mask. You have the Mask of Creation, not the G2 one, you know. This one, even though this one looks pretty freaking awesome. The Mask of Creation, the Mask of Time, and the Mask of Life. Those are the big three. And it wasn't until recent years that we got a canonization of an official canonization. Thank you, Greg Varsity. Of a fan take on a G1 Mask of Creation, and it looks pretty cool. It definitely screams G1 as opposed to this. This is more of a, well, G2 thing, because it is G2. Anyway, I don't really understand how this story arc for the Nuva symbols, the Nuva cube, and the use of the Mask of Time, I don't get how anyone thought this was sort of an easy story detail or whatever to follow, because it felt like a rush job. It really did. It felt like that the writers behind the story of Bionicle 2003, especially the first half, were just kind of, we need a filler arc to distract the fans, while we continue working on Makuta, the Rakshi, the movie, the game, and yeah, all this stuff, you know. And then they had the audacity, to add insult to injury, to use parts from the Bionicle, and Borak, I guess, I don't know, to give the Matoran an upgrade from their cute little charming Tahunga build to this 2003 version that you would see in Minogue 2, The Final Chronicle, where you play as Holly. That's cool. What? So, man, 2003, the first half of 2003 just felt like a rush job. It was a filler arc, clearly. But I felt like the filler arc was needed in order to give LEGO enough time to pour more of the budget into the second half of 2003. So we need to be grateful for the first half of 2003 for what it was able to give us. Good parts, well, clone sets, obviously. Cool sets, obviously. Although, for some reason, I just think the Matoran upgrade was kind of pointless in a way. It was interesting. I mean, yeah, you got gear functions, you got ultra pulsability, except for the head. And you could play a version of Coley with them. Okay, that's pretty cool. But we didn't get Lay Matoran! We didn't get Onu Matoran either. And yet they appeared in Minogue 2. What do I have to say to you, LEGO? Yeah, I feel like they butchered 2003's first half. And the Nuva Cube was definitely something that was a flawed idea. And the Mask of Time, the use of the Mask of Time by Tahu Nuva, so that the rest of the Toa Nuva can do their job to, you know, override the powers, their powers into the Bionicle. It just felt like something of a farcity in a way. Either way, I'm grateful that this part of the story existed in order to advance the plot further, so that, you know, the Roxy would be awakened, and we get the actual Makuta Pterodax set, and we get Takanuva, and yeah. So, really this is not much of a problem in on itself, but it definitely caused me to scratch my head and wonder, what was the true purpose of the Nuva Cube? Was it just an afterthought sort of thing, or was it something that was actually necessary to advance the plot further? I think it's kind of both. It was something that was probably thought of right there on the fly. But at the same time, it feels like something that was needed to advance the plot further. And thus we got the second half of 2003. So, overall, I don't know, the Nuva Cube just felt kind of like a weird MacGuffin, and same thing with the Mask of Time. These two objects being used in conjunction in the first half of 2003, I don't know, it was just something that it felt predictable at times, and the story, having the Toa weakened, being powerless, yeah, you know, there's only one way they could defeat the Bionicle, and that was the Mask of Time. So, yeah, then they got their powers back, and there you go. So, I will conclude it with this. Whether you like the Nuva Cube idea or not, whether you like the idea of the Bionicle or not, whether you like the idea of the first half of 2003 or not, you have to at least appreciate the fact that we got it at all. Because, hey, more sets, you know, it was something that the filler arc idea really rubs me the wrong way, but I do enjoy having the Bionicle right underneath the Borok, and finally having all 6 of them, and playing Minotaur 2, the Final Chronicle, is actually kind of fun, but I've ran into a soft block or two. But it felt like the Nuva Cube and the idea of the Nuva Cube and, you know, this whole freeing the Boroks, it felt like a fucking filler. There was nothing more than a filler arc. That's all it ever was. It was something that at the same time was kind of needed in order to advance the plot, but at the same time, you can argue that that's bullshit too. So, it seemed like that we could have, you know, had the first half of 2003 didn't happen, we could have happily gotten the Roxy, the Makuta, Takanuva, Jala and Gecko, and Takua and Puku, and some other stuff, and forgot about the stuff we got in the first half of 2003. We could have easily been happy with the second half of 2003 being moved to the first half, and the first half would just be deleted out of existence, because that's all it was filler. It was unnecessary. It felt pointless, and yet it did have a point. It did have a bit of a necessary quality to it, because it advanced the plot further. So, I don't know, it's a bit of a mixed bag, this whole first half of 2003 idea. Either way, I'm grateful that it existed. But, still, you can find 3D printed versions of the Nuva Cube, the Nuva symbols, on Shapeways and Thingiverse. And hell, you can get the original Mask of Time, be it in its orange version or its gold version, like this, on eBay or Bricklink, if you will. Well, that's it for this video. 20 minutes later, I think I've rambled on enough. I don't know, the first half of 2003 felt like a full-on, it was random. It just felt like a random, insertion filler arc. It was partially unnecessary, but it happened anyway, and it happened for a reason. Also, I feel that cloning the Borak with the Borak Cowl, it was another excuse to sell more of a set, you know, the Borak, that were a successful set. You know, the Borak were successful. Everyone bought them. So, giving us the Borak again, but silver, yeah, they were trying to capitalize on the success of the Borak, and it gave us the Borak Cowl because, hey, you got that head lunging function. Ow. And, you know, we still bought them anyway. Unfortunately, the only one I got was Tana Cowl, and I was so close to getting Korak Cowl, but I just couldn't get it. Luckily, I have them all now. Again, it just felt like 2003's first half was something that I don't think enough people really had much of an appreciation for due to its filler, like the feeling of it being a filler arc. It's one of those arcs in the story that kind of felt like there was just less of a meaning to it than the second half of 2003. To add insult to injury, like I said, the Borak Cowl were only created basically out of the success of the Borak. So that's more corporate greed going on there. You know, okay, so the Borak gave us all a ton of money. Thank you. We will give you the Borak Cowl. Because there's silver. Kids love silver, don't they? Well, I don't think so. Kids will latch on to anything that's flashy and gaudy and whatnot. So, yeah, we got the Borak Cowl. And, there were Chrono Cowl packs. That's another thing, rehashing the Borak Cowl, so you could also rehash the Chrono in metallic colors. I mean, yeah, that's more parts in different colors, but still, it felt like a massive, shameless cash grab. The Borak Cowl were more of a shameful cash grab, if you will, because they're just clones of what was already successful. Lego, you don't do that. That's not okay. That's just greed upon your end. And really the 2003 Matoran just felt unnecessary too, because in Bionicle the game we got the Matoran Tohunga build anyway. They looked like the Tohunga, so you don't see the 2003 build or anything that resembles the 2003 build in Bionicle the game, in Bionicle Mask of Light. Only in the Final Chronicle, Minarg 2, you see the Matoran 2003 build. All we got in 2003 first half was the Matoran and the Borak Cowl. I don't think we got anything else in the first half. So 12 sets. It's not a lot, but it's good enough. So, I don't know. The logistics behind 2003's first half just feels kind of it just felt really, really bad, and the filler arc idea was just not something that was completely agreeable. But, you know, some people latched onto it because it's still Bionicle. Well, sure, but it was still a problem. There were problems in that part of the story that you can consider just not that great. The book Makuda's Revenge was okay. It was good. I liked reading that book. Yes, I liked reading all the books. Except for the G2 books. Those were kind of lame. Thanks, Ryder Windham. Anyway, this video was supposed to be just me talking about the Nuva Cube and the use of the Mask of Time, but it spiraled out of control into this talk about the first half of 2003. So I think we're going to leave it at that. The first half of 2003 had its faults, downfalls, and whatnot. And it was filler. That's all it really was. It was a filler arc. Lego successfully capitalized on what was already successful, and they milked the Borak design for what it was worth. I remember back in the old days, during G1's run, that maybe it was in the latter couple of years. I don't know. It was close to the end of G2, where I built a Christmas-themed Borak. Yeah. I built one of those, and I used a Gali Nuva hook, yes really, in white. Basically, I guess it could be its penis or whatever. And in its sphere form, have it hang by the hook on the tree. That's cool, right? Well, it is. I might have to build that again this year. Because Christmas. So, that's really all I have left to say about all this. I mean, what do you think about the first half of 2003? Just remember that it might have been a filler arc. There might have been flaws within the entirety of the first half of 2003. The first half of 2003, in general, was its own flaw. But you have to at least respect the fact that, and be grateful that we got it anyway. Because, hey, that's more colored parts, silver parts that we could use, other parts we can use, and metallic stuff. Metallic Krata, yeah, Krana, yeah, that's pretty cool. But it felt unnecessary. And that's really what it all boils down to. Yeah. Also, in case you're wondering what tea I drink, black tea. Okay, so this video is long enough. Yeah, it's longer than it should be. It should be cut down to half, but I have a lot to say about 2003's first half. Yeah. So, let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below, and the afternoon sun is beaming in again. God damn it. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'll be back tomorrow with 2 more videos! Why 2? Because I did 2 today, I did 2 yesterday. Gotta make up for lost time. Might even have a bonus video out tomorrow. I don't know. I guess we'll see. So, stay tuned for more videos. I'm TheZOMBIEJ. I'll see you folks. Have a good fucking day, and peace.